Hey guys, Dov here with another unit highlight. Today we're taking a look at beautiful catapult type artillery. Of course, the Goblin Rock Lobber. Now, I've made a couple of videos already about different types of catapult artillery. We've covered Plague Claw, Screaming Skull, and even the Trebuchet. And Rock Lobber, out of all of those, is one of the cheapest. It has pretty low range, and, you know, it's crewed by goblins, so accuracy a little bit to be desired, but, yeah, the main upside is cheap, catapult-type artillery, and, as I mentioned in the previous videos, I'm a huge fan of catapult-type artillery against, you know, like Coast, Skaven, kind of those very long-range missile-centric factions, dwarfs, and on interrupted line of sight. Like here, it's not fully interrupted, but a Warp Lightning Cannon back at the back of his deployment zone wouldn't be able to hit my Goblobbers. I'm going to call them Goblobbers a bunch because that's just... I do that all the time by mistake, but anyway, the Rock Lobbers, very good for countering weapons teams here. I'm up against Guac, managed to catch him on ladder. He's a player around the tournament scene, definitely a very solid player right now. Those Poison Wind Mortars, they are getting some shots off, getting a little bit of damage in. You can see they've already done quite a bit of damage, actually, to the Wolf Rider Archers. Going to hit some of these Night Goblins as well, but a few volleys from the Rock Lobbers is able to take them out. We do have some Jezzails here. Lord Skrolk leading the way, along with the Skaven Assassin, a Warlock Engineer, a bunch of Clan Rat Spears, some Plague Monks up front. Grom going to be leading the way from me. I've got the Tifrabas, Regiment Renowned Wolf Chariot, because of course, if you have got Grom on his Wolf Chariot, you've got to have the ROR Wolf Chariot. We've also got Stone Trolls and the Swamp Things together, charging in the front line, and a whole bunch of Fanatics. You can see we are unleashing the Fanatics along the line here, trading evenly, basically, with those Plague Monks, which is very cost-effective for me. And, yeah, pretty good stuff so far. Likewise, the Archers pull up into range. Night Goblin Archers going to open up on these Rat Ogres here. And already, the melee engagement's going pretty well for me. You can see, though, those Goblins, between the like, 2 mortar shots they took and the Plague Monks in melee, they are hurting pretty badly there. So already, front line's looking a little thin. Thankfully, I've got these Wolf Rider Archers here who can provide some nice leadership damage and just kind of help route units off and so on. Goblin Big Boss being activated a little bit late here. We do have this giant blob fight still in the middle that Grom has been kind of cycling in and out of, trying to avoid Skrolk as much as possible, and also, well, maybe not avoid him necessarily, but avoid, like, this triple hero squad, you know, fighting them all at the same time. Likewise, I'm not sure about Liber Bubonicus. I don't know when exactly it was cast, but I want to say I got the his Lucky Banner right in time to be able to counter it, but we're going to have some more summons here. Cycling Grom in and out is important, as the immune to psychology from him will help keep these trolls in the fight against this Hell Pit Abomination. And meanwhile, all the time, you can see the targeting of these Rock Lobbers. We've been able to finish off this unit of Jezzails now. Of course, they were engaged in melee a little bit by some Fanatics there as well. And of course, since WoG gives immune to psychology, I don't necessarily need Grom the Paunch in there while it's active. Now that it's run off, though, would be nice to get back in there. Rivalhide Talisman, you can see Assassin's Trophy also on that Gobbo Big Boss. He gets absolutely wrecked and runs to the hills. The Swamp Things, though, terrifying away some of those Rat Ogres. Next target for the catapults is probably going to be the Council Guard here, as they are the biggest threat now to the Trolls and to Grom. I mean, the Hell Pit Abomination is obviously a threat to them as well, but I'm confident with my Archers, and with the Trolls and Grom in melee, I can take it out, but these Council Guard are going to be another story entirely. Definitely need the damage of the Rock Lobbers. Now, Goblin accuracy right there on display. Oh, yeah. This game is absolutely gorgeous, man. You still have a handful of Jezzails coming back over here, but again, I'm not using the Wolf Riders to chase down a lot of these routing units because I only have 3 Wolf Riders here, and there's way too many units for me to try and chase off with just 3. So instead, I'm kind of keeping them in a group here and trying to use their missiles anytime Guac brings these troops close in to the Wolf Riders. You know, they're just going to shoot them and try and route them off with the bow fire. Been working okay, but now the Skaven are getting a pretty good counter push on. Balance power still dead even, but we get some nice Fanatics right down the line through the Council Guard here, doing some great damage, and of course, Rock Lobbers continuing to reign. Thankfully, the Hell Pit Abomination is so big that some of the Rock Lobber shots will legitimately just hit it because of its massive size. You know, it's kind of in the way of the Council Guard a little bit there. Meanwhile, over here, the Chariots, the Wolf Riders helping to rout off these Rat Ogres, other chaff units, trying as long as possible to keep these Rock Lobbers safe. We've got these regular Gobbos been acting as kind of a reserve and as an artillery defense. They're going to be activated shortly to help clean up in this late game here. Some of these tattered Skaven units, and the T-Frobas as well. Haven't been highlighting them too much. I do plan on doing a video about the Wolf Chariots, just because I think they're pretty underrated, honestly, especially the T-Frobas, given their vanguard, but this is definitely the best matchup for them. The bow fire is decent against the low armor monsters, you know, if you need to kite, and just in general, Skaven are a pretty low armor faction. And, of course, anti-infantry chariot damage is very good. The other upside of Goblin Wolf Chariots, and I'm probably giving away a little bit too much for that video, but their high model count is pretty nice as well. But let's get back to the highlight of this video. These Rock Lobbers here, we'll get in close to their targets and see the effects as they rain fire continuously on the Council Guard and other, you know, summoned rats and so on. Oh yeah, that was a direct hit on the Hell Pit right there. You know, it's just hard to miss. It's hard to miss a Hell Pit, to be honest. Another zap. Vindictive Glare from the Night Goblin Shaman here. Guac could detach. Well, he could have detached the Assassin. The Assassin came here, was chasing off a bunch of my units, but then kind of got caught in a situation where 3 of them sort of rallied in a triangle around him, and now he's getting surrounded by the Trolls. He almost was able to chase the Swamp Things all the way off the field, which would have definitely been a big problem for me. I would have had no more terror on the field, but the kind of the turnaround there, the fact that, you know, these units come back from rout, and then get a good surround on him and take him out, that puts me pretty decisively ahead on the balance of power. The loss of that character and the fact that my units came back kind of combined there, and we're at the point now where I'm no longer able to really defend the catapults. The defensive Gobbos have been sent in, and the Wolf Riders, completely out of ammo, are having to rear charge the Council Guard. Kind of an uncomfortable situation for them, but the remaining catapult is able to continue to fire in here point blank. Grom, of course, completely healthy still. The Hell Pit's getting its healing, but still lots of bow fire from the Goblin Archers here. Got a handful of them. I've used up quite a bit of their ammunition almost exclusively on the Hell Pit and the Rat Ogres, but yeah, the Rock Lobbers, man. Point blank blasting, another Vindictive Glare there. Grom with his axe out. Grom's animations are actually probably one of the best of any Chariot Lords, since he actually does like forward-facing attack animations. Like, it just, out of any of the Chariot Lords, it looks probably the best when he's fighting something from the front. But anyway, fun game, very close game. Well played to Guac there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching. I would absolutely say that the Rock Lobbers were a massive key to success here. I mean, that one unit of mortars could have ended most of my army by itself, so getting rid of that right off the bat is super, super important. And as I have extolled many times, catapults are great against weapon teams. And once the weapon teams are cleaned up, then the rest of the army can kind of move in and operate at will. The Fanatics there, it kind of shows why the Goblins, the Night Goblins were able to trade not quite 1-to-1, but basically 1-to-1 with the Plague Monks, which is just super cost-effective for them. And of course, the Wolf Rider Archers able to maintain the routing there. And yeah, Swamp Things, Stone Trolls making a nice heavy center push and keeping that Hell Pit Abomination tied up the entire game, even if they weren't able to, you know, take it down. Just obviously the terror of the Swamp Things and just the tankiness and the mass to be able to hold it in place and not allow it to just run shop and terrify my entire army. Likewise, 41 kills. A nice performance from the T-Frobas. And from Guac's side, it's a pretty solid build overall. I mean, there's not really too much to criticize here. Very competitive character squad there. The Plague Monks are a decent pick in this matchup, but getting hit by the Fanatics was definitely a little bit rough there. Council Guard did pretty well. Hell Pit Abomination, 71 kills, XP Chevron. Yeah, I would say if you'd been able to keep the mortars operating for a little bit longer, this build absolutely could have worked out quite well. But the catapults, thankfully, they give you a good counter, and it is pretty nice. So just kind of finishing things out here, let's go ahead and give one last comparison of some catapult artillery. So going with the Greenskins as the primary, we'll also swap the Skaven themselves here. And On the other side, let's have a look at Bretonia. And the Tomb King's Screaming Skulls. So we've got 4 catapults here. And I know I'm probably forgetting a catapult somewhere, like the dwarfs. Actually, I am forgetting the Grudge Thrower. So maybe we'll add that on here as well. But out of catapult-type artillery, yeah, the Goblin Rock Lobber is the cheapest, but I thought it was only 500, 600. Interesting. Must have been misremembering that. Dwarfs, I want to say, is it 550 for the Grudge Thrower? No, that's for the Bolt Thrower. 700 actually for the Grudge Thrower, so interesting. So it is the cheapest catapult-type artillery. It does have 40 range, which is obviously going to be lower than Bretonians and the Dwarfs catapults. The cost effectiveness, though, is just really good at this price range. I mean, obviously, both the Bretonians and, to a lesser extent, the Grudge Thrower also for the Dwarves are pretty cost effective, but, I mean, the missile damage is basically comparable between all of these. There's not really too much of a difference there. The bigger difference for the Plague Claw catapult and the... Plague Claw does just a lot more damage in general. Screaming Skull, obviously, plus the Plague Claw both have the leadership components, which kind of give them a little bit of an edge in that way, but just by virtue of being the cheapest, that means that the Goblin Rock Lobber, it's the easiest for it to pay for itself, and as a result, it's a really nice option for the Greenskins. And Greenskins being sort of a melee-focused faction in many aspects, you wouldn't necessarily think of them as having a really strong piece of artillery, but I would absolutely say the Rock Lobber is a strong piece of artillery, useful in a few matchups, and even can be used, your results may vary, keep in mind, but can be used against something like Ushabti Greatbows in a pinch. Like if you have massed Goblin Rock Lobbers, just through volume, you might get some hits, and the hits will do some damage, and honestly, it's not great, but you can try. I've had mixed results with it in the past. Of course, you've also got this Regiment of Renown, which is really, really good. Has this contact effect Blinded, which is better than ever before, because now it can't hit your own troops, and minus 24 melee attack, minus 24 melee defense, and minus accuracy as well is just great in general. The melee component in particular is basically like a permanent enfeebling foe, or harmonic convergence, if you will. Like just being able to debuff. And you can hit multiple opponents with it too. Like if you're on your point with your micro switching between targets, you can apply this to a bunch of units at the same time. So really, really nice. Probably one of the best Regiments Renown. And just as an aside, I would say probably the Greenskins have broadly the best Regiments Renown in the game, mostly because they're all pretty cheap, at least for multiplayer. Anyway, that's it for today's video, though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.